Hello, everyone. My name is Alison, for those that don't know me, and I am an integrative healer, a self-love mentor, um, a lot of other things, intuitive guide. And I am here with my dear friend and colleague, Beck, and we're here to talk about some incredible, really powerful subjects today. One of them about love. So, Beck, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Hi, everyone. As Alison said, my name is Beck. I'm a spiritual teacher, healer, writer, extrasensory person, like a million things, actually. Um, yeah, so I do personal sessions with people and getting into the teaching stuff here. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here with Alison. And yes, very sensitive person, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit because that's how I roll sometimes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Perfect. I
Okay.
love it.
Yeah. So today we were going to talk about love, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What love is, what it means, how it feels, basically everything ever about love, and using it within healing, which will come from, for me at least, I can say that it comes from my personal experience. So do you want to just sort of dive right into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a good place to start is just to, I'd love to share my perspective on what, love
Yeah.
even is, what the energy of love is, and I'd love to get your, thoughts on that as well. So from my perspective, okay, so everything is energy, right? The entire universe and all of creation is energy, is different expressions of energy. And the energy of love is the energy of inclusion. It's the energy of oneness. So as I look at Beck, I feel and I breathe love in, right? I'm actually taking her essence in to myself as if it's a part of me, because it is, right? Ultimately, I believe, everything energetically is connected. So the energy of love is when you're directing that, very, very high vibrational frequency, which I believe is the fabric of all creation. Is it's literally breathing in, it's connecting that energy of pure oneness. And I think there can be different pillars of love, different expressions of love, like such as acceptance, such as compassion, such as, divine allowance, divine grace. I think there's a lot of different kind of flavors of it, from what I've experienced and felt into. And why this is so important, why we are talking about this right now, is because we are, on a planet with nothing but separation, right? Where the consciousness on this planet is disconnected, is in a state of powerlessness, is in a state of forgetting who our true essence is, right? And so, we've then the concept of love has been completely misconstrued and misinterpreted and really forgotten, right? It's like, love maybe means, oh, I have to give of myself and I have to do it. There's all these like shadow expressions that aren't even love, right? It's coming from different shadow. And but the very essence of love is connectivity, and is that remembrance of oneness. It's literally the energy that you are perfect just the way that you are, that I see the divine perfection in you. I see the oneness within you. And so there's no need to change. There's no need to be different. And so when you project that love onto others, and this is where I feel like teaching the word acceptance, I feel like is something that's important. And this is what I'm talking about. It's like accepting who you are and where you are in this moment as perfect, as exactly, your expression right now is is acceptable, right? And we can direct that energy towards our bodies, towards our emotions, towards, maybe we have judgments or shame towards ourselves, but, which is normal. But the energy of love is literally directing that towards ourselves or others, that I am perfect, I'm acceptable, just and lovable, no matter what, just the way that I am. So that's my interpretation of love. I'd love to hear, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I a lot agree with a lot of what you were saying, which is why me and Alison work, so beautifully together. As Alison was saying, there's a lot of different experiences or ideas about love, and it depends on what perspective you are viewing it through. However, as spiritual beings, for me, we are talking about the core frequency of everything that is, which is this feeling that humans have given the word love. Mm-hmm. And the easiest way for me to teach about is actually I wanted to tell people about the experience that I had that really told me about what it is. So in the last couple of years or whatever, I've had like a really, really bad time with like a lot of trauma stuff and just like massive shifts that like would just crash your face off, like just so unbelievably cool. Okay. And within that experience, I was going through some grief, a lot of heavy grief. And there was a day where I went to the beach to just try to breathe fresh air, try to, breathe through grief as you do. And I went to the beach and it was all in my heart and it was heavy. And then I felt intuitively guided to, go into the water. So I went into the water, just into the beautiful shallows that were there. And I was listening to my heart intentionally, which is also akin to listening to your higher self. It's just listening to that quiet voice within. And, through my tears and everything. And it was saying, allow the ocean to help you, allow the water to transform. And I just went with it. And so I closed my eyes and basically let myself, more fully cry and intentionally, consciously releasing the pain in my heart and everything into the water. And I was just doing that for a little bit. And then it was like this shift happened. It's not like anything obvious or dramatic happened, but it happened within me where when I kind of looked up again, I'd been looking down at the water for a little bit. I looked up and I looked over at the beach and the shore and the people there and everything. And I suddenly had one of the deepest awakenings that everything I was seeing was love. Mm-hmm. And it was like, for me, being extrasensory and clairvoyant and things, there's this visual snow, what's called visual snow, which is actually just the electromagnetic particles of life all around you and within everything. And so I always see that. But I realized I was like, my energy and my consciousness was honing in on that, this overlay over everything, and seeing, okay, this is love, and love is fucking like all around me. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt it and I knew it in my heart. It was a heart opening. My heart opened and I realized that I was in this sea of love, like my whole entire life. And I started laughing in the way that I'm laughing now. It was so stupid that I ever thought that love wasn't there. Because it's like in my face with the visual snow. But otherwise, if you don't see that, I just knew it is the essence of everything. And so I was crying of joy then. And it was just very beautiful. And I felt this realization and this deep love within myself and the love that's inside all of us, that core frequency. So from that moment on particularly, that is what I would define as and know as love. Mm-hmm. And what else I noticed within that experience was when I looked at the sand or something, there was also that it wanted to unite with me. There was that energy of oneness. It was like drawing me in almost. And this is my cat, Rose. Just comes to say hello. And put her butt in my face.
Oh, little sweetheart. So cute.
Just down here. Rose. Good girl. Okay. And yeah, I looked into the sand and I could see that there was this union calling me, and I felt drawn to it. And within that, then it shifted that I was it and it was me. And I felt that in every particle. And so I was not only experiencing this love feeling, which is warmth and beauty and all of that, but also the oneness. And so it was like just the best thing ever. And now, you know, I tap back into that experience, and it was like this frequency was given to me, which is actually within all of you. It was more like the blockages move out of the way.
Yeah.
And that is what love is to me. And I can sense it. And I can sense that, you know, the tree loves you. The tree loves you and recognizes you as the oneness. And that the tree, the form, is the overlay. Even with people and stuff, and people who are being unloving or unkind. As Alison said, it's this forgotten thing.
Yeah.
It's like in that moment I remembered, and now I remember. But people forget, and the forms make you forget. But that is what love is to me in its highest form. And then you can go on to talk about love in relationship and so on, but also even love in relationship, we want it to be from here, this meeting place here. And as Alison was saying, it was very akin to this feeling of when I was tuning into the leaves and the sand and stuff, of like, she was saying, I'm taking Beck's essence in, and like it is meeting that being as a part of you, because it is, and like knowing it, you know, actually beyond knowing it. It's these things can be hard to put into words. It's beyond knowing, it just is. That's a lot of my awakenings have been. This is life. It just is. Life is love.
It's beautiful, beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And I've had those kind of, you know, awakening experiences as well. And you can't even put it into words, but it's almost like, I don't know. I mean, obviously everyone can access this, right? This feeling, this essence, because we are that, right? Like we are love. So it's like, if someone's watching this and they're like, oh, but how do I feel that way? Or it's like, you just have to, you know, set the intention, tune in. It's even like something that I love to do personally, even in meditation every morning, is to even like stillness is like hard for me, you know, to actually be in that place of stillness. But if you're in the place of just setting the intention to tune into the energy of love, it can be that simple. You can start just like breathing in, you know, the, even your body and the world and just the room around you, and just feel that connection, you know. And it's going to look different for every person, how that transpires. But yeah, it's really profound. I agree.
Yeah. And when I was, you know, after that fact, that with these awakening experiences, it's not like, you know, if anyone's watching that and like, wow, like I never thought that I would be one of those people. And I was one of the people who was like, I can't touch that, you know. Right. But what happened was when that happens, it does like lessen in intensity, because it integrates and it just becomes you.
Yeah.
So you do have to continue to re-access it. And so that's how I know that, you know, I can also express about accessing it. And what that looks like for me, and for what I recommend for everyone, is I had like a separate experience that's very akin, where I realized in a very tangible that knowing it is way, where it goes beyond just like, oh, okay, like you know, you can know about the law of attraction, be like, the law of attraction is a thing, but until you experience it, it's a bit intellectual. So I'm saying beyond that, I was sitting there one day and I was feeling, I think, despair or something low. And I wanted to feel courage. And I was like I intuitively felt that's what I need. But I was like, but I'm over here in despair. And then I sat back, like in the inner space, I closed my eyes and I sat back and I looked at the despair, as you observe in any meditation sort of mindfulness techniques. They tell you to look at the emotion or whatever. And as best I could, I did that. And then I realized that, okay, like if I want courage or sadness or happiness or whatever, there is this polarity that one cannot be without the other. And if I have despair inside of me, I must have the opposite inside of me, because they cannot be without it. And so I sat back and I just stopped trying to do anything, and I just waited. And I had that realization, and I waited for a minute, and then I felt courage blooming from inside of me. And it was so great. But I realized that this is what you could do with love, and that's what I have to do still with this love feeling, is because sometimes if I'm feeling very low, it's hard to access, just being a human. So what helps me is to sit there and to be like, okay, even though I don't feel it now, that love exists, that love is here, and that invites it. Mm-hmm. Then it comes into your body and your experience.
Yes.
So if you get practicing at those sorts of thoughts, okay, love is here, even though if I don't feel it, just like courage is here, even though I don't feel despair. And then it arises from within you, because you're an entire universe. You're every polarity. It's like amazing. There are lots of different techniques to do it, and as Alison said, whatever works for you. But this is something that I'll be teaching more about and a little more structured and in-depth.
Yes.
But that's my invitation for people.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. And I also, just what's coming to me is just because Beck and I both have experienced these like really, these enlightened states, quote unquote, of like, breathing in love and oneness, and we're feeling these things, it doesn't mean that we're also not experiencing the very human humanness of other states of being, like pain, like all these things. And this is what I'm actually really wanting to talk about, and what's coming to me is like, how do we talk, or how do we express or talk about the idea of being in so much of having pain within us, and right, it's like, how do we access the self-love or acceptance when we're healing, even from chronic illnesses or from various traumatic experiences. It's like, how do we practically use this energy? Because I can just feel into people watching this. It's like, they're like, well, what do I, what do I do with this energy of love, and why is it important? And I think, for me, it's been like this integral part of like my own like healing journey is love, is realizing that like we are, as Beck said so beautifully, we are love. We are, all these different expressions of love, and these parts of us that are experiencing pain are these aspects of us, or subconscious parts that have forgotten, from my perspective, they've forgotten their essence. They've forgotten who they truly are because of trauma, because of various experiences that are part of the human experience, and that we all experience, right, being here on Earth. Like, we're on Earth. Earth is a dualistic environment, so we're gonna have the shadow and the light, right? But it's like, I don't know, my question is, I guess I'd just love to hear your perspective on love and healing, and how that interplays. And I guess we could even talk about first, like, what is healing, and is healing love? And I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anything's coming through for you.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So I think that healing, you can put it in whatever words are right for you. I think that healing is very sacred to the individual. So let's preface it with that.
Yeah.
And then I will say that basically healing is the return to love. Healing is that remembering. Okay. And because if we look at what the distortion or not healingness is, it is that separation, which are the two core frequencies or states of being, rather, that exist, is separation and love, or love and fear.
Yes.
and there's like hair in my eye, stuff. And so when we talk about love with healing, and especially if you are in a darker space, I want to let people know that, again, like, this is the crazy thing, is that I was a person who was like very far from these ideas of like, I'm telling you about my awakening experience and hello, like, so, oh my God, because I have had severe, complex, chronic trauma in my life, and I'm still recovering. So that's important for me that people know that as I said, I have the polarity. I have the extreme polarities.
Mm-hmm.
So the darkness, and the beautiful stars that shine out of the darkness, right?
Yes.
Through that portal of healing. Yes. So when I think about how to explain it to people, being exactly where you are, that is the number one thing that helped me. So if I'm completely like suicidal and like in the, the extreme, whatever it is for you, it has to be okay that I'm there. It has to be okay. We don't go, oh, well, I am God and I am love, and so whatever. You're here with that feeling of like, I don't want to be here, or whatever the sentence is in your brain for you. And it is just being there with that feeling and allowing it as best you can. Be exactly where you are. There's nothing to do, nothing to be different. Be exactly where you are. This is something that my guides helped me with when I came back from within the larger period, more intensified period of the massive trauma stuff. And I came back and I just fell on my knees and I didn't know what to do with myself because I'd done all the healing techniques and all of that, and I just couldn't, it wasn't doing it for me. And they said, and my teaching is that healing is actually very simple. You have to get out of the way. And you can't get out of the way if you're in resistance. So it's about resistance and flow. And these are the two states that we are always in. You're in resistance or you're just being /flow. So take the pressure off. Just be exactly where you are. Be sad. Be scared. Be whatever. And because when you do that, you allow the feeling, which is only present to attempt to release from your being, you allow it to do just that. When you are in resistance, it's coming up, and then you're like, no, it's too much, or I'm scared, or I can't, or whatever's going on, and it goes back down. But it wants to come up and be free.
Yes. And
you can do this. That my best thing is to be doing that observer stuff as best you can, where it's like we observe the sensation in the body. We feel that because the mental stuff and the stories and that go along are completely valid and completely important. If you need to express that, you do need to say your story 10 times to people and stuff. And eventually, when we want to do this transmutation, you will find a greater ease if you be with the sensations in the body. And here's sadness. How does it feel in my body? It feels like weight. It feels like my heart hurts. It feels like aching or breaking. I'm crying. This thing. And then it comes up and it will intensify because you're focused at first, because you're a creator and you're powerful, and it's like gotten permission, and it's like, oh, hell yeah, okay, yay. And so it will intensify and then it will dissipate. And then you will be left with what you have always been, love.
Yes.
So beautiful. That's what I had to learn to do after like going through this intensity of trying to figure my healing out and trying to just sort of solve it and trying to fix myself, basically. Stop fixing yourself. It's about acceptance. Yes. That would be my, like, there's so much to say, like I could go on and on, but for now yeah. What do you think?
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I agree wholeheartedly with everything you just said. There's so many things. Okay. the healing journey is one, like you said, is, from my perspective, is these aspects within us and within the collective that have forgotten their true essence. Have they forgotten, I don't even want to say true essence, because that makes it sound like, you know, where they are is bad or there's some sort of judgment there. No, it's all perfect. It's all according to, you know, this plan of how things are unfolding here on earth. But when we're feeling, for instance, a sensation or pain in the physical body, and I have a lot of chronic physical pain, you know, that's one example of what I'm dealing with. And what's been healing for me, from my experience, is when, for instance, if I'm experiencing really severe pain in my back, I will, like Beck said, I will tune into the pain. I will, in the past, I used to like resist it, right? Which is normal, right? Because no one wants to feel that. We've never taught how to feel that.
Resistance.
What's that?
You reminded me of don't resist your resistance.
Don't resist your resistance. Have compassion for yourself.
Accept it.
Totally. Yeah. It's like, hell yeah, of course I don't want to feel this, right? So we have to like we have to like hold ourselves in loving acceptance, like with that. But then once we can actually get to the layer of holding that pain in pure acceptance, and what I actually do is I will tune in to that part of my body and really like intuitively feel into it. Again, it's like I'm hearing it like a crying child, right? And so, you know, those of us that are loving and conscious are not going to lock a child in a room consciously and just let it cry. No, you're going to unlock the door. You're going to go in and see what the child needs. Maybe the child is crying because they're hungry. Maybe they need more sleep. Maybe they need to rest. Maybe they need to be held, right? There's always a reason why that beautiful, sweet, dear child is crying. And when I tune into physical pain, emotional pain, all of that, I always see it as a part of ourselves that is just crying out for love, crying out for, and what that looks like in the healing cycle is some sort of resolution, right? So it's like, and resolution meaning they want to come home back to love, back to acceptance, back to peace, back to themselves, right? That they're perhaps stuck in a cycle of pain, that there's something going on. So for instance, like for me, just this morning, I was tuning into my physical body, which was just flaring up. My nerves were in a lot of pain. I tuned in and I just felt into it again. Remember, it's like we're breathing that essence into ourselves. That's love. So we're going into the pain, into the direction, which is the opposite of resistance. And when we do, it was like, oh wow, I was like, I'm really tired. Like this part of me like really just needs to rest. Like I feel like I can't rest. And so I went into that feeling and really just embraced it and felt into it, and then met that need, right? That part was trying to communicate to me. And I feel like pain is is the sacred communicator. And again, we've never, it's calling out for love, for our attention, for our, you know, acceptance and resolution. So once I did that, you know, the pain actually dissipated and, you know, in a significant way. But like, again, it's super normal and natural for us to have moments where we're like, you know, I'm done. I can't do this. I just don't want to deal with it. Right. Like that's a normal part of the healing process as well. But as Beck said, and I agree, it's like the resistance creates more suffering. So it creates just this, like this, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's the cycle is just going to keep kind of coming back to you until you can, you know, I always say learn that lesson because I don't like that. It's integrate, really bring that part of you that's in pain in, right? Breathe that in.
Yeah.
That's love, right? So that's like, I think what's so important for people to understand is it's like, this is why love, again, is so important, is it's so easy to, even in this world, we're judging people so quickly, right? We can just say, oh, they're separate from me. They're bad. They're the bad ones, right? And from my perspective, since we're all interconnected, if I'm feeling triggered by someone or by an action, that's just a call for me to, tune into myself of like what within me needs love as well and attention. Why is that triggering me, right? And so it can be just this really, when we look at life like that, of like, wow, like, in the world, there's all these like, you're just broken inner children that have like forgotten who they are, forgotten their essence, and they're just like creating, they're just acting out of unconsciousness, out of their subconscious, and it's not connected in this love, right? I think that's what's so important. It's like, if I know that, I don't know, if I know that someone is starving or something, like, and they're part of me, I want them to be fed. I want them to be feeling good, and I think, again, that's why this is so important to be talking about, on like a global scale, and then just how powerful we are as creators with when we shine that love and loving acceptance onto ourselves. It literally, from my perspective, energetically ripples out into the collective, and it's so profound and so beautiful when we do that every day. And it can just be really simple things like, tuning in and learning to rest, or learning to go, drink some water, or slow down, or, whatever, have healthy boundaries. Like, all those things, I think, just play into this just very sacred importance of what the planet is like needing right now, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah. And the other thing I want to add about healing is that it's important to allow for, I describe my little method of observation and stuff basically, but also something that I learned as well is that because humans, like, we are very like mental, and there's resistance and so on, all healing techniques are moving that resistance. That's what they're doing. So if you do like inner child work and stuff, we always, like, we're doing it, and because a lot of the time it's because we want to understand. Like, it comes down to like letting go of control as well. Like, there's this higher, like, the higher perspective is like, if humans could just get out of the way and we could like stop resisting and allow and stuff, then your higher self basically guides the process and comes in, and energy moves through and out of you.
Yeah.
Okay. But what happens is the mind / ego, which is like its core thing, is like fear of like survival and stuff. So then the core consequence is control.
Yeah.
And how do we as humans control? This is something that I want to just like share generally. I think is really important, and especially in like spiritual communities or healing, when we're talking about healing, is just recognizing that you are just, often we can use these techniques and stuff to just understand, because we need to understand to feel in control, basically. But if our mind didn't need to understand, that's why, like, that's when these spiritual awakenings and stuff happen, when you let go of that control and there's a surrender. And I'm in no way saying that is like easy at all, or that there is completely, like, it's really good that we have these inner child techniques and various processes and stuff to work with that resistance, and you're basically, but I wanted to present this picture of what's basically happening is that you're kind of being like, okay, mind, like, okay, now do you feel like you can sort of let go of control now that we've done this visualization and we feel a bit more ease and stuff. And because when you get to that point, let's say in a child technique, the way that they typically go anyway, where it's like, okay, now I'm going to hold this child as they're crying or whatever. It's like, now I'm going to feel the feeling, and then we're going to have love flow in.
Right.
Right. You could take away like the mental picture and stuff. If you could do that within yourself, that's when these miracles and stuff like that really occur. That being said, it's completely fine, again, to use these techniques and stuff, and they are really important and helpful because a lot of people, especially people with chronic, what am I trying to say, like really severe trauma, complex trauma, for me, speaking from experience, just FYI, is like, this is what I realized, is that I was coping by controlling, and even controlling like my healing process. Like, okay, I'm going to fix me, I'm going to do this technique, and like, you got to watch your motivations, And that's how I ended up on my knees crying and being like, oh God, I don't know what to do. And I asked, okay, what do I know? I just need love. And that's when everything shifted for me. So you can go down both roads as long as you are watching your motivations for why you're doing what you're doing. You have to also meet with the part of you that doesn't want to fucking heal and doesn't want to do work. And it's like, screw this. I'm just going to live my life.
Yeah.
It's that complete allowing.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. And I think that one of the biggest, lessons, integrations I've had along my, healing journey, is that, I'm worthy of love and care and nurturing and all of that as I'm healing. And from my perspective, it's like, we're always like, life is always evolving, right? Like, we're always healing to some extent. I mean, I feel like for some of us that went through very severe trauma, there can be blocks of like, a lot of stuff comes up, and we're just really in kind of this really intense kind of healing phase maybe. But it's like, what I'm learning right now is, what if like I was quite literally perfect and I could receive love from myself and from others just as I am right now? And one thing I want to say is that you hear a lot of people talk about, oh, you have to learn to love yourself before other people can love you, right? You've heard that term, I'm sure, before. Maybe not. And I have kind of my thoughts about that. I actually needed to be in a state where I was slowly like attracting in like coaches and mentors. It went from like that, who could actually meet me, and therapists, in compassion and like mirror to me the love, because I had so much self-loathing and self-hatred and there's so much shame. I mean, there's just so much, right? And so I actually I think that we're all one anyway. So this idea of self-love is like, we can be kind of given and receiving love from others and for ourselves. But like, for those that are watching this, it's like, well, how do I, have that support while I'm healing? Or how do I, get that love and that nurturing? It can start in literally small steps. And then I feel like that can mirror to you what you're worthy of. Like, you are worthy of nurturing and love and kindness and compassion, no matter where you are along your journey. And then that can lead to like friends and to, I think, self-loving techniques like healthy boundaries, like, various things that just continue to evolve, and I don't know where I was going with that. Lost my train of thought, but but I think it's really I don't know. I think it's important for people to realize that no matter where you are, like along your journey, there are people who can support you, that you are so worthy of being mirrored that compassion and that love, no matter what you've gone through, you know? I mean, of course, right? It's like, and I almost feel like, I'd love to get your perspective on shame too, because I feel like shame is like the wall that blocks us from receiving love, right? And love from ourselves and love from others. And so it's almost like you have to address that shame, that like I am bad, you know, core belief that comes up. I know I've had to integrate that a lot, you know, and I still do, still, you know, for various things. But yeah, I'd love to get your perspective on like shame and how that just relates to, your healing journey and love and all that.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I would say that shame and self-worth, which are very tied together, and the fear of loss are the number one things that, as you said, can halt people from truly receiving love. It's like, it's very interesting to watch energetically when someone is kind of, when someone is like, oh, thank you, you know, to a compliment, but there's like this giant wall. It's just like, it's like
totally.
You know,
totally. I've been there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I do that too. I'm like, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, of course, compassion for me who does that and everyone else who does that. Yeah, I see it like an energetic, like,
totally, for sure.
But yeah, okay, so shame within the healing process and stuff, I think it is a big contributor to why people don't even get started on healing or whatever. Like a lot of people who are just in that, like, such, like, the sticky resistance. Resistance comes in all different forms, and one of those forms is shame, and I'm saying that it's like the stickiest ever when they're like, I have so much like self-loathing or shame, like I'm bad, like that they won't ask for help or get help or give themselves love, look after themselves. Just like it's so rooted and it's very webby, you know, it spreads out into everything.
Yeah.
So that's a key thing. I think also that shame is really, shame is the opposite of like owning and allowing who you are. Okay, and so the return to shame is not so much, I mean, the relief of shame or release, it's not so much I am good as it is like I am me.
Yes.
It's very interesting, and you know, it does help me if my personal experience with it is like, for example, that for me, like my third eye and stuff, it's very open and active and stuff, but also there was like this veil of shame that I could sense was coming from shame. And I see that with people because shame is about your perspectives about yourself, particularly. And any of your perspectives and beliefs, basically attachments to what's true and what isn't true, is what is going on here and can stop clarity, right? That stops clarity. But there's a reason that when I was very recently working through my shame and this third eye thing and all of that, that when I was tuning into, okay, what do I need to hear? What's going on with this? You know, advice and guidance. It wasn't I am good. Or even I am love or whatever. It's like I am what I am.
Yeah.
And the third eye, the frequency of it, the prism of it is just pure light, because light is objectivity. So it's being your true self as you are in a very objective, just this is me way. And when you do that, there's a consequence of feeling self-love, basically, and returning to that love. And that's when we can say, okay, going down this path of shame has led me to love myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, if people can get clear on the idea that it's about being who you are and allowing who you are, that's what I would say about that. And from my experience, it's very scary. It's very hard because that's like the number one thing. If you look at trauma and stuff, if you look at any traumatic experience, no matter what it's like exactly, let's say, because what happens in trauma is something traumatic is that an event happens or a situation happens, the child feels like deep sadness, for example, but then it's too much, and or they don't have the support around them to actually allow it to move through. So it gets all enmeshed in your system, and it doesn't come up and do its thing of just releasing and moving through you. But so what's happened even in there, just relative to emotion, is you're not allowed to be sad in this minute. You're not allowed to be who you are in this minute. So that's why I say, like, if you focus on shame and stuff, you're going to get to everything as well.
Yes.
Because it all comes back to to really simplify it, just being who you are exactly as you are in this moment.
Yes.
And that's going to mean things like speaking your truth and, not acting from shame in whatever ways that you do that as well.
Yeah.
And it means letting go of, the common thing of I am bad or there's something wrong with me, stuff like that. I think the healing thing is to go beyond the good and bad to get behind the duality. Because if you hold it to like I am good and the duality, there's always something that you have to be still. So if we don't do that, you just are, and you be.
Beautiful. So something that's coming through is I'm curious, what would you say to people that feel just like stuck on their healing journey, that feel like God, I've been doing so much healing work for so long, and nothing seems to be getting better, right? Like what would you say to those people, or what are your thoughts on that?
A couple of things. So first I would say be stuck. You're stuck. Like you're stuck. So be stuck.
Yep.
Okay? Be stuck. Stop trying to figure it out because you're trying to move away from it and you're going to drive yourself insane. Like, it's just not going to help.
Right.
So be stuck. If you can't do that and you're like, but I fucking need to get unstuck, that's your resistance there. So be mad about it or hurt about it or whatever that is. Be that too. You get to be exactly as you are. Okay?
Yeah. Nothing
else is going to move you through it. Actually, like your brain wants to be like, let's find the answers, and no, I just need this thing and stuff. But that's the show is running by a little man called fear and control, basically. That's what it means to be stuck. You're making it mean like usually something like I'm here forever, or like I can't be happy, I can't get what I want. Whatever that fear is for you, there may be multiple your eternal flavors of that. That's what's going on. So give yourself permission to be stuck. If you could be unstuck, you would be. Take the pressure off. Like, it's not on you completely to work this out. Like, for some reason, on a higher level, and you can punch me in the face if this is annoying, but on a higher level, you are supposed to be stuck right now.
Yes. No, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. That's flowing within and through the stuff. That's you're going to be actively creating that opposite frequency that you want just by being exactly where you are. It's pretty magical and cool when you think about it.
Yeah.
I would also say, and this brings me back to my experience again, just to help with understanding and teaching, is that I had to get to a point of like that admitting where you are, of like, okay, I'm here and this is just going on forever. And I knew, and for me, I was like, and if you're watching this, you probably like me and you're very spiritual and whatever, and you sort of know what you should be doing, and you're like, oh my God, I need full acceptance that I'm just on a journey and I should be okay with this. oh my God, I need to hurry up and be okay. Like there's that extra pressure. Okay, so my recommendation is to try not to do that. If you can't not do that, again, just be the person who's giving yourself extra pressure, because you are. And it's about observing that. When I tell you to just be where you are, I'm not saying ferment it and make it worse and actively be like, yeah, I am stuck forever and this is true, and like, okay, I'm going to live life like I'm stuck forever. I'm saying let it be and observe it.
Yes.
And then it was like, okay, like I can't figure this out. It's admitting that like I can't figure this out properly. Okay, maybe and knowing that I should be like, okay, I'm gonna be healing on this healing journey for my whole life. But instead of forcing myself to become okay with that, I just did the thing of just observing it. Because you like if it works for you, you can be like, okay, how can I become okay with this? Like, how can you make it mean something good? Like, for example, if I'm always on this healing journey and I'm stuck, then I probably have a lot more depth than someone who wasn't, for example, or I'm going to gain a lot of wisdom in the end. You can create a better association with it, but, I couldn't do that because that wasn't where I was. I was like, I'm not even going to do that. This is crap. So I'm just here. And then it actually shifted in a little bit. I started to become okay with being on this healing thing always. And like there are days and times where I'm not okay with it. Yeah. But more and more I'm building that inner frequency and relationship of like, okay, this is the life that I signed up for. For some reason my soul was like, let's go really hardcore and just get wrecked. And that's how it feels sometimes. But then, you have to really consciously tap into the truth of the things that you've gotten out of it. But you can't do that until you are ready either. I was not ready to do that for a long time. They say like, it was a blessing in disguise, or look for what you're grateful for about this experience and look what you're created for.
Yeah.
Don't do that until it actually feels natural.
Yeah.
It will just pop into your head in a sentence one day. And that will be an indication that, okay, maybe this is 5% natural for me. And it will build. And I'm still honestly just like, like 40% with that. So I can see the beauty that's come from it and stuff like that. I know that I wouldn't be here talking like this if I hadn't gone absolutely insane into the darkness. There is a great beauty in my life because of what happened to me. Yeah. And it's the reason that I know this stuff about grace and about getting out of the way and allowing grace to unfold and do the healing for you.
Yes.
I experienced miracles. Honestly, within these awakening things and stuff, it was because I surrendered even into being stuck and even into I hate my life and exactly where I am.
Yes.
And it was amazing. And, at times it's deeply difficult and terrible. Yes. So just be where you are, and you're everything that you are now, and you're both, and you're the polar opposites, and who you are right now is okay. What about you and your healing journey and stuckness?
Well, God, you're just, the way you describe things, just so beautiful. It just touches my heart so deeply, because I just resonate with everything you said. And what was coming through was, number one, it's the same thing you said, was acceptance, was, like, okay, so, and even accepting, like, I am experiencing this every day. I'm experiencing this every day. I'm experiencing, a lot of pain and this and that. It's like getting just like clear on what you're experiencing during the day, and like accepting and being present with that reality, because that's true. I mean, that's what is happening, and being accepting and shining that awareness onto your frustration, onto your anger and all of it. Like, feel it, be with it, right? It's like really embrace that that with just like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And there's something that happens when you do that. It shifts the very fabric of going more into that divine surrender, which is like so fucking hard to do. Because of course we want, you know, our brain, our ego wants that control. But when I realized, I was like, okay, this is just where I am right now. And what if, you know, what if I can just actually take in the lessons of like, but in a natural way, like you said. I feel like you have to actually feel the anger, you have to feel the feelings of feeling stuck, like feel the triggers that arise where you are, right? Like don't suppress them, for God's sake. Like it'll just, you know, not be natural to do. But like actually, if you feel called to, feel the frustration, feel all of that, and then go to a place where being accepting of like where I am in this moment is where I am. Okay. So it's like that, you know, true, I don't know, just like grounding into the moment. And then knowing that number one, you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. Like, as you said, Beck, like we're here, we are where we are from a higher perspective for a reason, I believe, you know, that we wouldn't have been given all this, all these different obstacles that you might say, you know, without the reason of our higher selves, our love, our higher selves are us. So everything that's arising is always a calling back to love, to bring us more happiness, more joy, more peace, all these different integrations within ourselves, because our higher self loves us, right? So it's like, so that's something to really take in. And then also to realize that what really helped me was to do, okay, so now that I'm accepting that I, for instance, am experiencing chronic pain in my body. Well, I'll just take that as an example. Okay, so what, if I'm going to be living with this for a long time, which I don't believe in my heart I will, but that's just something, you know, okay, this is my reality right now. What can I do every day that will feel like more relief? That'll actually feel like comfort, like joy in my life. And so I actually had to make a list of things like singing for me, calling a friend, going outside in nature, really bringing that sense of empowerment into myself of like, what will feel good to me every day, right? And so that really has helped. And then with that, it's interesting because what happens is like all of a sudden these integrations like of love come in, because it's like I am accepting not only my situation, but then my body and myself. So I'm not like, you know, in the past it would be like, like a lot of, like I said, anger and frustration being directed towards my body of why are you doing this to me, which is all normal. But it's like when we shift into that perspective of acceptance or even surrender, it does something on an, you know, alchemical level where it actually creates more relief for us. So it's like the surrendering and then taking small steps like forward that will feel good. And then that slowly, I feel like, shifts your vibration into a state of, again, of love, of acceptance. Because if you're just continually pouring that acceptance onto your situation, you know, it's going to be mirrored in other ways as well, and actually bring forward more relief, you know, slowly. And Yeah, I mean, I'm still integrating the lessons, and that's something that like I keep, Beck and I were talking about this before. It's like I keep getting these like epiphanies, these like downloads of like, oh, like this is what I'm learning from this, and a big lesson for me is acceptance, is like teaching acceptance for ourselves and others. I don't know what that's going to look like, long term, but I know in my heart, there's a really beautiful lesson there that's going to help to really bring so much more, joy and connection and peace and all those good things into my life. From my experience, that's what always happens, and we have to realize too, this is another thing that really helps me, is understanding like the natural rhythms of life, like that there is the night and there is the day. If you're in, the night, you're in the darkness at night, you're not just going to scream out to the stars and the night sky being like, why aren't you the sun? Like, where are you? Where are you? You could do that, but you're not going to have much fun. That's resistance, right? But if you're actually just like, okay, it's night right now. It's nighttime. It's nighttime. And I attribute that to like, even, the more, negative emotions. I don't believe in negative or positive emotions, but emotions that don't feel super fun to feel, right? Like grief and like anger and all these things, or even a dark night of the soul, being in a type of depression. It's like acceptance of, oh wow, okay, this is what it feels like. I'm in a night right now. But knowing, and again, from my own experience, is the natural rhythms of life, you are never stuck. It might feel that way to your mind, but the day, the dawn is always coming. It's just the way, that just the earth fluxes, right? It's just this rhythm. And so just having that like knowing of like letting go, of being like, okay, I'm in like a really dark night right now. And just kind of, how can I, and that's what I was talking about, like the small steps for relief. It's like, how can I actually like feel good while I'm in this? And might be, if you're out at night, might be looking at the stars or noticing, this is hard. I know this is hard to do, but looking for the beauty or just the relief in that as well, and how can you find comfort through small steps, in that night, and just knowing too, again, of how this rhythm unfolds, I think is really just very powerful and profound. And knowing, again, nothing is permanent. Change is inevitable here on Earth. The cycles and rhythms of Earth is the way that, life unfolds. So that's what's helped me. And just knowing in my heart, like, that just that faith and that trust that, like, I don't have to figure it all out alone either. That I'm not isolated in this experience, that I feel, my angels, my guides, and my higher self, like, all helping me. God, whatever you want to call it, this loving force, because we are love, helping and assisting and, and just like feeling and understanding that as well, I feel like really gives me a lot of comfort along the journey too.
Yeah. Going for time. Is that okay?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. We could talk to you all day. No, I think we're good. I do have to hop off in a few minutes, but is there anything else that's like coming to you
Yeah, what you were saying about the rhythms of life and things like this. I wanted to share with people, especially because we're talking about healing and stuff, is when I or whoever shares like this higher perspective, I personally initially was like afraid of kind of like people not being able to reach or touch it, and then you can feel a bit triggered by that and stuff. And I speak from experience, when I was in these low states and stuff, and someone comes along and is like, I am love, you are love, like, you're just like, go away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It can feel abusive too because you're not meeting
yeah,
them where they are. So yeah.
yeah, yes. But and then through my journey and stuff, I feel like there's this graduation that can happen, and that's the invitation of these higher perspectives. That when I would get like annoyed by them or whatever, I wasn't seeing. But when we talk about the rhythms of life and stuff, this is what I want to share with people: is that as we spoke that as we spoke of, that love is everything, and life itself is actually, my words for it, is a loving awareness. It's something that loves, is love, and it's aware or conscious. So it is loving awareness. And everything that happens in your life, is actually doing that thing of constantly trying to purify to get you to the bright and the light on the other side. And I think that we get upset and frustrated at the higher perspective and stuff from where we are. It's like important to allow that and do this thing of like, and inviting this thing to be true over here as well. Like I think that we can take this and the higher perspective to mean like, so you should just get over it and shut up. Like, love loves you. It's fine. So we get like annoyed and we don't want to receive it or take it in. But what if that's completely okay and that's completely where you are supposed to be, and that's completely the orchestration of this love song that is everything as well? Mm. And that's what I learned to do, and that really shifted things so that you can close the gap of that distance between someone being like, oh, I feel love in the particles of the air, and like you're like, what? To it actually being a reality for you.
Yeah.
To invite this and thing, because that's what invites experience. It has to be considered as like possible. It's because everything's reacting to your beliefs and stuff. The invitation is for it to be considered possible. And so as I express this, and as we're closing, I wanted to say that and then add that these rhythms of life and stuff, the important thing about life is that it is absolutely sacred. This essence, this love thing is sacred, and every spark of it is absolutely perfect. That means your sadness is perfect. That means your anger is perfect. That means your destruction and the chaos and all of that is perfect. And yes, I've had experiences that made that tangibly real for me, but only through first it being an invitation, being invited. And it is easier said than done. And you don't even do it on a conscious level, but what you do is you get out of the way and you consider maybe this is something.
Yeah.
So, when Alison was talking about the dark and the night and we can talk about winter and summer and all of that. It really helped me to really get to this place where it's really real for me beyond an intellectual knowing or some higher perspective that's frustrating, for like when the negative experiences happen in life, that there is something purifying right now. And if you can allow that, you can use your life experiences to be like the greatest catalyst for your healing and to get you to where you want to be. It's quite amazing, honestly. It's like you finally see the song of life, and even in the disharmony that you're seeing or experiencing, you can feel and see the harmony behind it. It's crazy. And your life is not trying to hurt you. Your life loves you and it wants you to release what's coming up for you.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to leave people with.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to add except, did you want to talk about the upcoming workshop really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so, okay, guys. So Beck and I have been working on a really exciting collaboration, a workshop that is going to launch very, very soon, and we will give more details, soon. But should we share what it's about? What do you think?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about and teaching all about light language. So this is something that I know for me, like I've gotten this request so much, like from clients and from friends, and I'm so excited about this because this is something that is another element of love. It's like love's language, and is something that is it's just so sacred, so powerful. We all, gosh, yeah, we could just talk about it for a long time, but that's something that we're going to be collaborating on and giving to you guys. So can't wait to share more details on that soon, but we wanted to kind of give that little announcement.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, and I almost want to call it a fun shop or a play shop.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, we did say that. Yes, it's a play shop. It's not a workshop.
Yeah. Yeah, because just FYI for people, even though light language, I don't know if it's up your street or whatever. It's not up everyone's street, which is fine.
Yeah, totally.
But it is about fun and play. It is that beautiful, just letting your spirit flow.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really cool. And Alison and I have been practicing it for like a long time. I used to when I was little. My guides would sing light language songs to me, and I would sing them to myself when often when bad things were happening.
Yeah.
So I can tell you it's a very natural part of yourself, no matter who you are. It's just about whether you're allowing it or not. But everyone has it within them, and it's healing and activating and fun and beautiful, and it can be musical, and it's going to be awesome. So we'll let you guys know. It'll be like, I just want to say soonish.
Yeah.
We're planning still soonish.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. All right, my dear. Well, so good talking, and I just love you so much. So grateful for you. And I'm grateful for everyone that's watching and tuning in too.
Yes. Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon, hopefully. Come to the fun shop if you like it.
Yes.
We'll give more and everyone.
So much love, you guys. Bye.